Welcome to the Innovation Squadcast, making a positive difference in learning through innovation.
Welcome to Innovation Squadcast, episode 94, The Power of Project-Based Learning, or PBL. In this episode, we explore the transformative power of project-based learning. Are you ready to ignite your students' curiosity and engagement? In this episode, we'll dive deep into how PBL not only aligns with current educational standards, but also fosters real-world application, critical thinking, essential collaboration skills. Discover how students giving them a voice in learning and incorporating hands-on projects can revolutionize your classroom experience. Plus, we'll share how MagicSchool can be your go-to resource for crafting innovative PBL lessons. We'll be able to show you now in our new setup. So stay tuned as we unravel the benefits and practical strategies for implementing PBL that will leave you excited and ready to transform your teaching. I am Jimmy Cate.
And I am Nicole Lapointe.
And we are innovative learning coordinators in Berkeley County School District. We've got a new little podcast set up for the new year of 2025. If you're listening in the future, this is January of 2025. And so, we've got a new setup. We got some of our stuff set up. We've got the ability now to use the screen to be able to show some things, which I think is going to be nice and powerful. So we'll see how it goes from there. So bear with us if some of the camera cuts are a little bit off as I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this new board. So
right, I'll just keep staring straight ahead and smiling,
just in case. You
never know.
So project-based learning can take a lot of different avenues, right, and look a lot of different ways. So when you think of PBL, like, what do you think of?
Well, first of all, don't think of it as like I did it. It's a one and done. Usually, if you're doing PBL and project-based learning with your students, that will start the ball rolling for other projects you can work on. And don't think, I don't have time. I need to reach all my standards, because that's what PBL is. You're taking your standards and creating something that way. But one of the huge parts of it is that students have a choice. So they get a voice and a choice, and it keeps them more engaged.
I love the idea whenever you're doing project-based learning. Again, it can look as a small little unit, or it can look like a giant unit that, encompasses lots of different things. Usually, again, there's some kind of like scenario-based situation where you've got maybe some kind of real-world problem, a challenge, or it can just be centered around your curriculum. Again, project-based learning aligns perfectly with our South Carolina educational curriculum. They are not something that is extra. They are something that's designed to really increase that engagement. And we're going to hear that word a lot, because I think when students are engaged, they're going to have that learning is going to come along with it. Test scores come along with it, and all those things. Plus, we're going to get the addition of those 21st century skills as well. So.
Yeah, and you can attest to this from being in the classroom. Once you did it one time, weren't your students like, hey, can we try a project? Or they would come up with their own project ideas for the content you were studying or learning about. And what does that do for them? It makes them more critical thinkers. It helps them collaborate, because I remember walking into your class and seeing the groups of students. They were sitting together, they were talking, they were sharing information. So it's really going to help not just in school, but like you said, for the future and career ready.
Yeah. It was great too, because again, like we talked, it aligns perfectly with your standards, whether you're teaching. It doesn't matter what you're teaching.
Right.
You can take that standard, and we'll talk about how we're going to show you how to utilize MagicSchool AI and some other resources inside of that to really help get the ball rolling and get you started with PBL. But I think whenever you're thinking about starting it, it's the idea of, creating this real world scenario, which I think gets students engaged. And PBL then allows for them to apply that knowledge in kind of meaningful ways.
Right. Because they're not sitting back being more the passive learners. They're more of the active learners, because they really have a say in it and a part in it. So, and we know we want that engagement. We're always looking for ways to show engagement. Right. And of course, the first time you did it, was it super easy? No. Did you tweak things? Did you figure out what worked best? How to set up groups, or you could...
Yeah, it was always in kind of constant reflection and constant change. Right. So it was always kind of different when it came to how, it came, and each one was different. And again, sometimes the students would come up with it. Sometimes I would come up with it. They would go different ways. But again, we have examples in the show notes. So go check out the show notes. We've got examples that you can pick from, and then we're going to show some examples that you can use later on as well. But really, it's thinking about taking that standard and then making it so that there's a real world scenario, there's a problem for them to do, using the knowledge and the skills that you want them to be able to demonstrate their mastery of in meaningful ways that actually have some relevance that they're going to be able to kind of dive into. So, using those, I think, that's a great place to start if you're just looking for it. And then again, we'll talk about the way to do that as well. So
right, because a lot of people are like, what is PBL? It's not just here, do this. These are the ideas or the mindset behind it, and then you take it and roll with whatever content or standards you have.
And I think some people think that it's like this has to be, some kind of community thing where we got to clean up the rivers or we've got to do that. Or, it can be that, and those are great. But it can also just be as simple as, I would set up the scenarios in our classroom like we're a 3D virtual world company, and our clients asking us to build them this presidential museum,
which was so cool
right.
when your students did that. So
just setting up that scenario just gets that little bit more buy-in that you need sometimes, get that little bit more engagement to really get them to dive into it. And then they go farther beyond even what you would expect. So, just that little tweak. We're, again, small shift of things that you're already doing.
Right.
Just changing that scenario, launching it to a different audience sometimes with PBL, and knowing that, other people are going to see it also helps as well. So.
Oh, yeah. Once you bring in those outside people, they think, ooh, I need to make this better, or I need to make this really good. How about your students? I know this happened with you. Not only were they working on it in your class, they'd go home on their own and continue working on stuff because why? It was interesting. It was something they had a choice in. It was engaging. So, they really empowered themselves to be able to, here's the information.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about voice and choice, that's huge when it comes to PBL. It empowers students by giving them a voice and selecting project topics, methods of presentation, fostering ownership of their learning. They now are the ones, so they're motivated to encourage to go deeper and engage into the material, the subject matter. And like you said, they would want to go home and do homework. I didn't ever assign homework. It just gradually happened naturally because it's something that they knew, I got to get this done. So because I want to have this project ready to go to be able to show. And then you got, their groups are involved and things like that. So.
And I know you've had some students come back to you to say, hey, I really liked when we worked on that, blah, 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 whatever the project was that you worked on. So they remembered it past school. Some of them are out of school now telling you that. So.
Yeah, and I got a lot of former teachers that are students that come to me and say, what was that project? And send me this information. I just had another one reach out that she wanted to, what was that project you did? Send me the information. So, so that's really great to have that because it was powerful and it was meaningful. And, and again, that word engagement, whenever students are engaged, they're interested, relevant learning, it's enjoyable. The success goes up, learning goes up, test scores go up, all those factors come into it. And research has proven that that's always, the case for that level of engagement compared to traditional learning environments. So anytime you can add that little extra element of PBL, I think you're going to get that engagement. That's going to increase as well. So,
and you didn't teach my daughters, but because you planned or talked with other teachers at Stratford who then took on some of your PBL, I would, hear my girls saying, or they would say to me, hey, guess what we did today? So, they're more interested to talk about it because, a lot of times, what did you do today? Nothing.
This definitely, you're not doing nothing. So when you're doing PBL, people get excited about it as well. So the other, I think, big aspect of PBL are 21st century skills. What 21st century skills do students get when they're dealing with PBL?
They're critical thinkers. They're collaborating. They're creative in most of their projects. Just about anything. And talking with other businesses, they appreciate when students in classes and schools are being taught that. And I know Berkeley County is huge with all those skills as well. So you're also following all those adaptability skills that Berkeley County puts out as well.
Yeah, those work and life skills were great. And I would use those all the time as ways for students to do self-reflection and assessment and different things like that. So using those work and life skills is kind of a standard base as well. So I think the biggest problem too when you're talking about, one of the challenges to PBL is going to be the assessments and reflection. And I think that using MagicSchool, using AI, the ability to create rubrics and be able to create different elements are going to be powerful. But then one of the other things that we've got is the ability now to teach some skills that are very impactful, and that is self-assessment and peer assessment. So what can you say about those skills?
Okay, well, are you talking about like feedback? Okay,
Yeah.
feedback is huge. Feedback is huge and important for adults. Sometimes we don't really want to know the feedback, but it's only going to make it better. So if we can teach our students how to give constructive feedback, you can also get that. Are you leaning to like what MagicSchool has as well, how they can help with feedback, or just person to person?
I think a little bit of mostly person to person, I think.
Yeah.
The MagicSchool and AI feedback would be great, I think, but I think getting that, being able to reflect on another peer is hard. It's hard for us to actually give that true reflection sometimes because either we want to be nice or we want to be too mean. There's like almost there's no that middle ground, and teaching them how to like, all right, say some good things, say some things that can be improved.
Right, improved.
In a correct way.
Right.
And then also, receiving feedback is even probably the more difficult than giving it, because then you've turned out this project, you thought it was amazing, and then you get all these challenges, but understanding that that's part of the process of learning.
Right. And it does help make it better. Because I know when we give feedback, well, always, for the longest time, if I had to give feedback, I was like, oh, yeah, it's good. Maybe you can, and I'd throw a little something in there. But I know that we're all just going to grow that way. So if you're constantly modeling that for your students with the feedback you give them, then they're going to model the positive way to give feedback. And it doesn't always have to say, oh, it's good, but how you could make it better.
Yeah, so I think teaching those 21st century skills, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, communication, teaching them how to self-assess, and then also peer assess, all of those skills can come out of that, which is, again, powerful as well. So.
And that it's so great that, to help them foster these skills so that long after they leave the classroom, they still have these in their careers and jobs.
So one way to get started is to, we talked about it a bunch of times. Let's dive right into MagicSchool here. And again, if you're listening, we've got the video available that you can actually go to and find the access to the video so that you can see us kind of navigating through MagicSchool and show you kind of some ways that you can utilize PDL and where to get started. So when you're in MagicSchool, again, getting there through your class link, one of the tools that you can search for in the upper left-hand corner is going to be project-based learning. I have mine starred up. That's why it's here at my favorites category, so that when, again, you're looking at PBL, this is a great place to start. And you can, again, put pretty much anything that you want here to get started. You can really, if you're looking at building a community thing, or you're just looking at doing something that's simple and easy, like marketing. So one of the projects I would do is marketing for some of the different inventions that were happening as the turn of the century in United States history. So I'd put kind of 20th century U.S. history inventions, and I would also attach my standard and all that stuff here, but for purposes of the demonstration, and we can move this along, I will leave that out. But I've put in minimal details here, right? You're obviously going to have a lot more details. You're going to have your standards in there. You can input rubrics, and you can input project sheets and things like that into this to get more details. But I'm just going to generate just what I've got so that people watching on the video can see. But just know, if you're listening, what we're looking at is MagicSchool now is putting out basically this whole project-based lesson that has everything down to the assessment. It has the driving question that is there.
It also gives standards. So even if you put in South Carolina 11th grade U.S. history standards, it would pinpoint your
So it gives you your driving question: how did key inventions in the 20th century shape marketing matters and consumer behavior? So it gives you real world challenges, your in-depth inquiry. It gives you your student voice and choice options. talking about reflection, critique and vision, public product, collaboration options, teacher facilitation. What is your role in all of this? The interdisciplinary connections. We didn't even talk about that earlier, but that's something that's powerful as well. Bringing in all the different subjects into one application, and then also your assessment options as well. And again, that was with minimal prompting.
Right.
The more you prompt it, the more it's going to give you, the more options that you're going to get using, again, PBL. So it's a great place. I wish I would have had this tool.
I know.
Because I would sit for hours sometimes planning out these, or failing and finding or forgetting about a certain detail. This kind of gives you a lot. Your other option, again, is to put something into RAINA. So let's say you're teaching fractions, PBL, South Carolina, and put that just again, minimal prompting into RAINA. And again, if you're watching video, you can see now it's spitting out all the different steps of the project, the assessment, the resources, the standard alignment, gives you your driving question, your project. And then again, the more you prompt it, the more it's going to give you. So it's got same thing, objectives, steps to the project, assessment, standard alignment, gives you the whole thing. So that's a great feature that MagicSchool has now that really kind of gets you started. Plus, you can reach out to your ILCs as well, and we'd be more than happy to sit down and go over some project-based learning and get you started and help with that process as well. So,
yeah. All right.
Right.
Well,
Anything
I
else
think
you
that
think
was,
of? Yeah.
just know that it's not a one and done. You can do it for all your standards. It really keeps students engaged. All those work and life skills.
It prepares them for the real world. It prepares them for the 21st century.
Right.
Using technology to really, enrich their teaching practices and really enhance student outcomes. And that's the end of the day what we want. We want them to obviously learn our material, but we also want them to leave our school system with the skills they need to navigate that 21st century digital world and figuring out how they can be successful. And these skills will help them do that. So,
right.
The power of PBL, it is a powerful thing, and we'd be more than happy to help you again. So reach out to your ILCs to make that happen as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the new new look, and definitely.
Where am I looking?
Yeah, send us some. We're in the big screen right now.
Oh, okay.
So send us any feedback or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you. We'd, again, love to hear from you. You got any topic ideas for the podcast as well? Want to be on? We'd love to have you to be part of this as well. Don't forget.
And if you're whatever PBL you have going on, let us know, because teachers like to hear, oh, so-and-so did it. She teaches the same thing I do, or he has the same type of class I do, then I could do it. So it just kind of gets that ball rolling for other teachers.
Absolutely. One of the other things is we've got in the show notes, we've got, again, some resources there for PBL. We've got some the link to the Innovation Squadcast as well. We've got a link to the video. So if you find the show notes, the video will be there as well. Don't forget to, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get updates on our new episodes, or Spotify them, or subscribe to them on Spotify. So you can also watch the video on Spotify. It's right there. The video is built right into the app as well. So you can watch the video there in Spotify as well. Other podcasting platforms, probably you have to listen, which is fine. But just to let you know, we've got now with this new ability to use the screen. That's something that we're looking forward to, and we'll bring some more of that to the video aspect of it as well. So thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you. Thanks everybody out there for watching. Until next time, keep innovating.